Hello and welcome to Finn's Revenge with round 2 of the under 1800 Voice of Reason tourney. The Tempest and Calrox won their games in round 1. They are sticking with their factions. The Tempest played Taquito, and Taquito I think kinda gave the game away to the Tempest at the end, although Tempest did have an advantage. The battle for Calrox was against Kaiser, Siren on Cybern, which was quite close, but I think Calrox really showed some very high quality gameplay, some fakes. He got a little more reclaim, even though it was very close. I think at the end he forced Kaiser into attempting to get a draw or get a victory, but Calrox always fought exactly where he wanted, and that's why he's in round 2. He's going to get a challenge against Tempest, who is playing Aeon on this map, and this is one of the maps where Aeon does have a significant advantage because he can escape into the water. So we'll see how he deals with it. The Tempest, very nice to see. The Tempest is known for his aggression, usually with air, but this time with a flare. So both players go on to land. Early air strategies on Finn's Revenge do happen all the time, although they are quite dangerous because it's a small map and you can get ran over. And actually here, this could be good for the Tempest. Will the Mantis for Calrox come in time? Good micro from the Tempest. Yep, he takes out the Engineer. Good move. The Mantis comes in, cleans up the flare, but not before it gets the job done. Tempest with all early pressure that pays off, but we'll see what this Mantis can do. Tempest nearly done with the second land. It's going to be third air with the Hydra. 2 engineers on the Hydra. Single engineer on the Hydra for Calrox, who's finished with 2 land factors. ACU is going to go through the top, meanwhile the ACU for Tempest is going to go through the bottom. So both ACUs are going to be going in this counterclockwise direction. Let's see, it looks like the ACU, yeah, this is always good to have a scout. The Mantis will avoid the Aurora and the ACU and go directly. It looks like he just lost the scout to an Aurora. The Tempest needs to do something. I think his Hydra is going to be under pressure, and he doesn't want to lose his engineers, who have a lot of different... Well, this is great to see these 2 engineers. One of them is on power spam, the other one's on land spam. Good organization. Overall, the Tempest is in an excellent position, I think. And here comes a bomber and a scout. An air factory for... It looks like both players went 3rd air. We already see the 4th land starting for both. As I think this Mantis here lost an opportunity. He could have moved in and killed those engineers. Would have been very devastating. Instead, he just shot at a bunch of structures for a while, but got no kills. Its 2 kills are from previous endeavors. Bombers from both players. A bomber for the Tempest. Looks like he got at least 2 kills. A bomber for Calrox. Still no kills. He's gonna attempt to drop on a scout as Calrox runs over the top. Looks like a point defense was denied by Calrox. As the Tempest, this bomber, is he gonna... Oh, what a devastating bomb there. That was... Yeah, the bombers from the Tempest. Beautiful bombs. Also beautiful radar that just got killed there. And yet another bomber here. Oh, yeah. I gotta say the Tempest looks very impressive on Finn's Revenge. Calrox did not have this kind of pressure against him in the game against Kaiser. We gotta remember this is a best of 3. There are 2 more games after this one. So even though if Calrox is to lose this one, although this is definitely still a very even game, you'll still have 2 opportunities. But Aeon versus Cybern on Finns, it's automatically an advantage for Aeon. See Calrox going directly into the base of Tempest. Tempest is going to get a point defense in time. That will be critical. Meanwhile, the Tempest ACU not going directly into Calrox's base, content with picking up a couple of mask extractors, although Calrox also making a point defense. It's very nice to fake this move and then come back around. You want to force your enemy player into making as many point defenses as possible. You can see in terms of mass production, very even, but the Tempest massive power advantage.
Commander
Calrox
under attack.
Mass stall, huge mass stall. And only plus 11 for both players, although the Tempest seems to have just picked up a whole bunch. There's a couple of Mantas running in. Calrox takes some hits from point defense in the Tempest base. Oh, did I play? Yeah, I think. Apologies if the game sound was really loud in this one. But I hope people enjoyed it anyway. Oh, 7 minutes of blasting. Another point defense going up for the Tempest. Meanwhile, the Tempest continues to just use his ACE to pick up mass extractors. Now, this is very dangerous. Calrox does the right thing, and he's actually denied this point defense in time. And now the Hydro. Plus, you can see where all the power for the Tempest is. This is where the placement of your power production has to be in a little safer position. You want to put a little close to here, not so close that Artie can shoot over that mountain. But definitely not protected. If Calrox realizes this, he's going to take out the Hydra. And he can also take out all those P-gens. And I thought that the Tempest was in a very good position, but that position was just erased. That position is gone. The Tempest needs to do something with his ACU. The ACU was picking up mass ejectors, but didn't do enough against Calrox's base. Calrox's base still very much functioning. He's got a lot of working factories. He's producing units. And here you see the Auroras going to work, but the engineering is very much wiped out. I think there was a lost opportunity. These couple of P-gens should be dead. Calrox has lost most of his manta. He still has his ACU. His ACU is about 8,000 health, reclaiming factories. As the Tempest actually is broken through, we might see a base switch here. On Calrox calling it GG. Oh man, I was confused. The Tempest brought a couple, already broke down the point defense, walked into Calrox's base. I don't know who actually has a, well, yeah, I think the fact that Tempest has all these units together with them, and the fact that there are auras with low micro, and we can't discount the fact that Tempest does have air control. Having air control is huge in this type of situation, as Calrox is not taking on a superior force. The Tempest wins game 1 of this best of 3 in such a way that I was very confused until the very end. Hello, welcome to game 2 between Calrox and the Tempest. This one's on Niflheim. First game went to the Tempest, of course. He just needs one more game to move into the final. Calrox up against the wall, needs to win the next 2 games. Cybern versus Aeon once again, both players sticking to their factions. And of course we saw this map played 3 times by Zoc and Blackheart. In case people didn't watch those casts, definitely watch it. And if you want really in-depth analysis, check out Lucian's video of game 8 of that best 15. One thing we did see from Zoc, he grabbed these rocks in his initial build order, which gave him about 1,000 mass. He can do a lot of early assistance. Looks like first bomber from the Tempest. We'll see how that works out for him. First to land for Calrox. This map is very confusing. I think I'm much more used to it now, having seen it many times. I don't think I've ever played this in my life, but I think I would be able to play it quite well, relatively to other players who may have not have seen it. And here comes first bomber. This will be an interesting test how well this bomber does. Looks like Calrox knows all about those rocks. He might try to emulate Zoc here. Zoc didn't have to. Oh, look at that. Oh, beautiful. Total devastation. This is how you do first bomber. He needs to kill that engineer as well. Some flak now coming out. You can see what the Tempest is trying to do. He's trying to double bomb. He could have double bombed that. I think he could have ended the game right there, but because he didn't, he might be in a bit of trouble. Excellent work from the Tempest. Does he already have land? He's already working on his land factory. No losses. One thing about the Tempest, though, he's completely mass stalling, which might just undo all this great work that he's done with his bomber. His bomber needs to just run away because there's all this flag being produced by Calrox. The fact that Calrox did get that reclaim, 770, and look how much he's already used. He was able to rebuild all those engineers so rapidly, and here comes the second bomber. So sometimes knowing the map beats micro, and I think that's something that we're seeing here. Even though the Tempest showed off great micro on his bombers. Another kill on the bomber, 7 kills. 3 flak, you don't want to fly over 3 flak. Oh man, the Tempest showing off those bombing skills, denying the air factory. And finally that bomber goes down. The other bomber still has 8 kills. Is he gonna attempt to double bomb? Ah, he shot a bunch of men. These pigeons are all so close. I think Calrox could be bombed back into the Stone Age if he were to lose those. And one thing is important, the Hydra was denied. Calrox running out into the middle of the map. Will he be able to give back a little bit of punishment to the Tempest? The Tempest has been punishing himself, but now he is going to reclaim a bit of mass, recover his eco. Still mass stalling like crazy, which you should never do, given all the reclaim that's available. And actually this little pawn that he's reclaimed to a high degree, 1,000 mass. Calrox 1,500. Those were the reclaim numbers. Where, oh wow, the Tempest ACU. Okay, last time I said the Tempest doesn't seem to upgrade fast enough. That was his biggest weakness. What I've seen in this tourney from the Tempest, his biggest weakness is where he sends his ACU. I mean, maybe it's alright, but it's like way out where the fighting isn't even happening. You want to send your ACU in some position in the middle, kind of like Calrox, because he can cover any of these possible attacks on his main base, as we're seeing Aurora versus Mantis here on the flat ground. Bombers from the Tempest are just non-relenting. Finally some air from the Calrox. As an engineer here, wow, this is a very advanced engineer from Calrox. And NTs from Calrox looking to take air control, take out a bomber and retreat. Very similar air from these two players, as Calrox sitting on 7 kills. This is why you use your ACU in the middle, cutting off any kind of assaults. We did see a battle here between Aeon and Manta, which appears Tempest did win, but another wave of Manta coming in here, minute 9. One thing that Tempest has done with his ACU is completely taken over this ledge. The ledge that I'd like to call Zock's ledge from now on, because I don't know what else to call it. Neither player has taken the initiative to take this upper ground. There's 2 mass extractors and another mass extractor here, plus significant reclaim up there. One of the reasons we've seen Zock and Blackheart really rush to get up here. We do see now a factory from Tempest planned, and all factory nearly completed for Calrox, as Calrox is now going to perhaps move in to try to find the Tempest. Tempest finishing up a factory up on the top ledge. Calrox bringing a lot of land units with him. Yeah, he's definitely looking for Tempest ACU. Tempest could be in a bit of trouble. He is working on a point defense, which he needs to finish ASAP. He doesn't really have the units to support his ACU if this battle was to take place. Unless there's a mistake from Calrox, Tempest unable to finish that point defense. Taking a long time to try to build it. Yeah, I think this is just map awareness and good scouting from Calrox. He saw that Tempest ACU was all by himself on the core of the map and decided to join him. And the Tempest has a massive force here way on the other side of the map, unable to do anything about it. Great awareness from Calrox to take the chance that was given. It is now 1-1. We're going to go to game 3. Hello and welcome to the third and the deciding game between the Tempest and Calrox. So this one's going to be on open waters, a map we haven't seen in a long time. I don't know if it's actually in the ladder right now, but definitely a classic. Anybody who likes water, this is a must. In this map, it's critical where you send your ACU, and there are different possibilities. You can grab the middle island, which is nice, especially if you get some 2-put cruise missiles on it. But also grabbing one of these landmasses, you really want to grab one of those. If you lose both, you're pretty much screwed. And Navy, of course, is featured very often. Another way you can play it, instead of setting an ACU to one of these big islands, is just run across and hope to find the main base without the owner, and just go ahead and take over. And usually people, of course, invest most of their early power there. If you kill it, also deny the Navy. Even if the player establishes a foothold on either one of those masses, they're usually in such a bad shape, they usually rage quit. Very early Hydra on this map. Both players running for it. Second air from a Tempest. 5 pigeons, second air from the ACU with the early Hydra. Classic. You can see how good that build order is from the Tempest. Calrox decided to assist with the ACU. That's also a good build order, but he's got a little more mass for himself because he didn't invest in nearly as many pigeons. We also saw naval plans from Calrox. And look at this, is the advantage of Aeon. I don't know which faction is better. I think Aeon has some definite advantages with Auroras and Scouts and Tech to Flak, which we don't want to forget. However, in terms of Navy, once it goes to Tech to Naval stage, as well as Tech 1 Naval stage, Cybern do have a marked advantage with very powerful frigates, as well as a destroyer. With Micro, the Cybern destroyer is very much superior to the Aeon destroyer. Also, the cruiser for Cybern much better. Yeah, the cruiser for Aeon is just kind of pathetic. Only 1 kill. Yeah, the philosophy behind Aeon units is that they pretty much only do one thing. They do it very well, but they don't multitask. So you typically have to wait. If you want really good missiles for your cruiser, you gotta wait till the Tech 3 stage to get the missile ship. The Tech 2 stage with the ships, you don't get that. Here comes a bomber from Calrox. We did see bombers from Tempest, but see, that bomber is just scared. No kills, gets shot out of the air. Check out the ACU for the Tempest. He's gonna try to grab the side. So the left bottom side. Check out these scouts though. Excellent work from the Tempest. He's anticipating any of these drops, and Tempest is in a position to actually grab both sides unless Calrox can do something major, and Calrox is gonna make a bet on Navy. Although now we do see the Tempest making Navy as well. And one way Aeon can stay competitive in the Tech 1 naval stage is to combine their submarines together with their frigates, which do have the anti-torpedo capability. But you do want to get a bunch of submarines. Yeah, we'll see how this works out. We see a submarine coming out, frigate looking to clean up on all these spirits. They see you for the Tempest getting mass extractors. Calrox though. Oh, it looks like Calrox is gonna move to the same island as the Tempest with his ACU. I might see an ACU battle on the bottom. On the top landmass, nobody except the Tempest, who needs to grab these mass extractors as soon as possible. Looks like Tempest playing without looking at the middle island at all. Air domination from Calrox. And this submarine, what is it shooting at? I don't think it's getting shot by. Oh, yeah, it was shot without shooting back. Early victory there. This way you don't want to really send in units one by one. 550 health, 525 health, so slightly more health on the Aeon sub. But here both submarines taking each other out. The Tempest was here much earlier, already grabbed 5 mass extractors. However, Calrox came onto this landmass a bit later, with together with a couple engineers. He's also got a couple of frigates for support. Tempest needs to produce more engineers, build up a big force. He also needs to challenge the middle somehow, and needs to stop sending in his submarines one by one, because 2 versus 1, the submarine just, it's not very competitive. And somehow he's paused all his navy. I think this could be a major mistake. This could be really bad for the Tempest. I don't understand why he's doing that. Because if you lose his navy against Cybern, you're kind of screwed. That takes away your ability to use your Aurora and your Spirits. As the Tempest with a big advantage. Look at that mass gap between these two players. As long as Tempest doesn't make any stupid mistakes, he should be in good shape. One thing that he does not have is air, and massive air force from Calrox. He's got a lot of build capacity on his air factory. He's actually moving that off for whatever reason. And he's got a lot of build capacity on this navy. So big Tech 1 navy from Calrox. Calrox less map control, but more units. What will be more important? And actually Calrox not catching up a bit with mass. He's used his ACU to grab a whole bunch of mass extractors. On the left, mass. On the top, it's just a small foothold. This is where the Tempest, I think, should have been a little more aggressive. One thing we haven't seen is transports. Usually players build transports here, especially Calrox got to use transports to a high degree. They can be very disruptive. But I think an obvious place to drop from Tempest would have been here. If you could have denied this, this will be a major problem for him. Instead of grabbing the whole top landmass, he's going to have to fight for it. On the bottom, Tempest is in the middle of nowhere. This is actually so dangerous. Extremely dangerous. A couple, like 5 jesters could end your life if you don't have air control. As Calrox is going to come in and make Tempest pay for not unpausing his naval factories. And a naval loss for the Tempest, who does have a superior eco, but only for a little while. These frigates going to start shooting into Tempest base, and instead of this Tech 2 mass extractor, if he had a navy that looked like this, I think he'd be in the driving seat. Instead, he does not have that. Still no move to Tech 2 from Calrox on navy. Tempest is going to build up some point defenses by his ACU, and both players building up Tech 1 land forces on top. But air and naval domination from Calrox. You see this air force Calrox is going to pursue. He's got numbers. He's going to attempt to get an air fight going. He's got huge superiority. He needs to just find these interceptors and kill them. And yeah, torpedo launchers. This is good. I think this is a bit of a mistake from Calrox, allowing the Tempest to do this. One other thing the Tempest needs to do is get a sonar as soon as possible. But this is a very expensive proposition there from the Tempest. As Calrox has, actually both players know exactly what's going on here. Tempest attempting to get the gun. Not sure if it's fire rate or range. I would get fire rate if I was him. As the Tempest is going to move in, he's going to completely take over the top, and he's paused. This is a good move. He's paused all his land factories. I would unpause one and just produce engineers so you can grab that top land mass as soon as possible. Total air domination now from Calrox. And there are a lot of unanswered questions in this game. We can see a lot of build capacity on Tempest's navy. He's just mass producing submarines. He needs a lot of submarines. If he has any hope, you can see there's 4 submarines together with a bunch of frigates for Calrox. Tempest is very vulnerable. Wow, look at all those dead Auroras. How did that happen? Oh, I wish I would have seen how many kills was on that Medusa. There's a possibility that Medusa was just like a... Yeah, sorry for missing that. Perhaps somebody can watch this and say in the comments how many kills those Medusas had. Oh, maybe they'll happen once again. Oh, look at that. And once again, I miss out on it. This is a really bad spot for the Auroras. Tempest, I think he's going to get a second gun upgrade. Another air fight. I'm going to be very surprised if I don't see gestures from Calrox. I think he has this game in the bag if he makes the gestures. Moves in and starts a land battle. Gets Tempest to go low on health. Finish him off with a few gestures. Instead, what we're seeing is Tech 2 land. I think that doesn't make sense to me. Calrox could either on Tech 2 naval or Tech 2 air. Both have been very powerful. Tech 2 land is a little strange. I mean, he could make Wagner's, but that's a very late That's going to have a very late effect. Tempest with a double gun. Yeah, this is going to be a great weapon, but it might give him a false sense of security because he has absolutely no air protection. Well, the player who really needs tech to land is the Tempest over here. He needs to make some tech to flak and some shields for his ACU. As you can see, Calrox will retreat. And I'm not sure what's happening here. A lot of Auroras doing nothing. A lot of reclaim opportunities for the Tempest if he wants them. The Tempest sitting on 4200 mass in the reclaim. He's going to have some power problems. In terms of power, Calrox is nearly doubling him, but he's wasting a huge amount. 1900 reclaim for Calrox, but so much more opportunities for the Tempest. The Tempest taking over the top. Another huge opportunity for reclaim for the Tempest, but he's been very slow taking those. I think with all that reclaim, he can just rush tech to Navy. And actually, we are now seeing tech to Navy for Calrox, so it's not just an option for Tempest, but it's a necessity to get tech to Navy as soon as possible. Instead of these Auroras, want some engineers. Also some flak, because if you have a position like this where your main naval factory is exposed, a couple bombers can really ruin your day. We are seeing now some flag going up for the Tempest, and his ACU, in which he's invested so much, is doing nothing. This is where he should be pushing. As tech to gunships, yeah, this is what I expected. Tech to gunships from Calrox, and what we're going to see is tech to gunships versus Auroras. And if you thought this was bad, Medusas, I really want people to see just how bad it is for on a Tech 1 stage against Tech 2 Cybern gunships. That's how bad that is. Although flying over some flags probably not ideal. And yeah, these gunships need to shoot at different units. 6 kills, 8 kills, 9 kills. Interceptors going in, 16 kills on that gunship. 17 kills. And yeah, these Tech 1 anti-air turrets did their job. It could have been much worse. But just 3 gunships. They got many kills. Are we seeing Tech to Navy now? Tempest not really playing with a purpose here. I do see complete logic from Calrox except for that. But he's got Tech to Navy, a destroyer coming in, which will shut off the door here. I think I'd love to see a cruiser. Although destroyers are good in this case, given that, oh, here comes the assault gunships. Tempest, 4 kills on a very expensive ACU. I think I disagree with the use of the gunships from Calrox. He could have moved in with his land, taking out that flag, and that gunship force could have come in and really cleaned up. That's what I would have expected for somebody like Zalk. Another wave of gunships coming in, and I think those gunships are going to go in without any problems. There is a single seeker turret with 5 kills that will be targeted. Actually, some Manta working on it. Yep, that's dead. No more anti-air. Tempest attempted to make another anti-air turret. Not likely to happen. And I think this game's over. Tempest was in a very good position. Still in a very good position. Like he's got more mass, but he just didn't take the advantages that he had, and those advantages disappear with time. Perhaps Tempest just wasn't used to this type of map. Yeah, Calrox gave him plenty of opportunities. I mean, he gave away both sides, was very late here. But Tempest really almost let him back on the top, definitely let him back on the bottom. Suffered a major naval defeat and didn't really recover from it. And these Tech 2 mask extractors. Oh, a Tech 3 mask extractor. Okay, if you make a Tech 3 mask extractor in such a game, I think you deserve to lose. Definitely did it to himself with that Tech 3 mask extractor. And it is game over. Calrox will be in the final. Tempest, I think well played, but not too much strategy in the last game. But I'd love to see his bombers. Hope he signs up in the future.
Hello, welcome back to round 2 of this under 1800 tourney. Using a different mic now. This should be my best mic ever, and I finally have the opportunity to talk without waking people up. So the audio should be good. This should be not quite as good as it gets, but close to that. JMD and Viper Ricky. Viper Ricky beat Goal in round 1. JMD beat very good player. Yeah, that's the problem of casting games on different days. I remember it was a much tougher battle than what Viper went through. But JMD is one player who's extremely good in this tourney, definitely one of the favorites. Playing a Seraphim in this one, so Seraphim versus Seraphim. That should be interesting. Floating RD is always a good option. Actually, I'll speed this up. So I'm going to put everything into the same video. I think hopefully I have enough time to go all the way to the final. Second land versus second air on fins. What is better? We're going to get the answer right now. And I want to... while these players are building up, I just want to say to other casters, go ahead and cast any of the games I've already casted. For example, some of the ones I did on Point of Reach with really bad audio. It'd be great if somebody redid it so I can put it in the playlist and remove the ones that I did, because unfortunately that was a bit of a fail there. So now what we're seeing is a tank and Celine protecting engineer on a big mission here. And oh wow, that's a lot of plans here for JMD. Meanwhile, a single engineer on the Hydra. That's gonna take a little while. No plans for the Hydra yet for GMD. Multiple Celines and a tank. I usually like to expand with 2 engineers in this direction because, I mean, there's so many mass extractors and these rocks that you want to pick up quick. Now there's 2 engineers for Viper. And of course this is the best of 3. The next map will be Niflheim. Very frustrating map, but I think I finally understand it. Here we got an air factory. This is interesting from JMD. Is he pretending to be Zoc or somebody? But I think he's got to have wow, that's excellent. Excellent economy. Props for that. And is that a bomber? That's a bomber, and it's still a perfect economy. This guy is amazing. He needs to, he is investing in pigeons as well. He's gonna ride this very well. Yeah. It's gonna be hard to match for Viper, who doesn't have his air factory yet. He's working on it. He's actually gonna get 2 air factories. The thing that Viper did is that he did get a Hydra. He is wasting power, so still decent. He's not killing himself here. And actually, this is the perfect economy to get these rocks. Ooh, and here comes the bomber. There goes the engineer. The opportunity to get the rocks is now a little more difficult. Oh, and the second kill. JMD making life very difficult for Viper, as he also got interceptors and scouts. I'm seeing an interceptor for Viper. Oh, and there goes a third. That was a deadly bomb. I think it was 3 bombs, 3 kills. Very high efficiency. Oh, and these tanks, perfect. So far everything is going in JMD's favor. He did lose that bomber, but definitely paid for itself. Good looking Celine. And interesting point defense. I'm not sure if I agree with that placement of the point defense from GMD. Meanwhile, more interceptors. God, I like fans. It's just exciting. Seraphim on Seraphim. 3AU. What is it? Ukrainian? JMD. Whatever that name means. What does your name mean? Just walked right over us. But so far he is dominating, and I think that Viper Ricky, had he gone after this reclaim the way he did his eco, he would be, he may actually be at least even with JMD, even with losing all those NGs, because he did have more land, even with a mass stall. But now that discrepancy is going to be corrected. Although only 2 land factories up front, and this engineer that had all those massive plans is actually going to finish them, which I think is a bit of a shame. That's something that you wouldn't expect to go in second air, that an engineer expanding to one of the chokes is actually going to not die. JMD meanwhile being quite aggressive, grabbing enemy mass extractors, as Viper Ricky decides to turn back. And that's one of the critical things you can screw yourself on fence with is when you see that an enemy NCU is coming into your base, you say, okay, I'm gonna go kill that ACU. So that's what Viper is thinking. He's gonna take his ACU, take it to the enemy ACU, force the other ACU into the water, and that's a failing move, because what happens is that now there's no pressure whatsoever on JMD, and he also can attack through this position. So while the ACU is walking back, it's got nothing to do. Has 3 kills for JMD, and JMD can always escape, so there's no problems. So map control is given away to JMD, and he's able to make an assault. So the way to do it, if you see an ACU coming into your base, you just put a point of defense, you keep an eye on it, and take your ACU and do as much pressure as possible, because you know that the enemy ACU is far away from you, and as long as you stay close to the coast, you're fine. So it really becomes a competition who can do more damage. But this is now really bad. Great use of floating armor. You're taking out the air, taking out the hydro, tanks. Oh, man. You can see Viper Ricky's right here just getting pummeled. I got a lot to learn, definitely, and hopefully he listens to this about Vince. If he would have kept on going, so the 2 critical mistakes, he still has his rocks, and the second, which really was the biggest critical mistake, and the second thing is that he did not continue with his AC. Also the AC I think was a little slow. He allowed this to be constructed, which is a big problem. So there goes Ricky. It's 1 game up for JMD. He's gonna have 2 opportunities to make it to the final.
Hello, welcome to Niflheim, where Viper Ricky finds himself up against the wall, taking on JMD, who beat him quite easily, I think, in the previous game on fence. Let's see if Viper Ricky can put up a fight on this map with so many different options, but I think a lot of the good options do include these rocks. So perhaps a mistake from JMD. Maybe he won't grab those rocks and Viper will, and then JMD will do something stupid, and then we might go to game 3. The other finalist, of course, is oh man, the name's Calrox. Oh god, I probably screwed up that name, but the one with the K, the good Siren player whose name starts with a K. That should be exciting. That should be the rest of this video. Viper Ricky thinking about second air with a total of 7 P-gens. Great target. Those P-gens. First 2 land from a JMD going 5 P-gen, 2 land. Don't think, make 2 land, 5 P-gen. And you're gonna be happy. You're gonna be happy. Almost always. Unless you play somebody like Zoc, then you won't be happy no matter what you do, so might as well do 2 land, 5 P-gens. And let the pieces fall where they may. And you can see here, JMD taking advantage of those rocks. Those rocks are good. He's getting about 200 mass already. These rocks, oh, they've already been taken very quick. This is a good engineer. Viper Ricky was 633 a reclaim. So far Viper Ricky seems to have taken care of that reclaim. Is he assisting on the ACU? He's not. He's almost done with his air factory. And here, early air is definitely a good option to a rather large map, so as long as you make a couple of units for defense. One thing to note though is Cybern is going to have the quickness on the Tham, or the Hunters and the Manta. Looks like it's for the most part Manta from JMD. You can see Manta just running all over the place. This one's playing defense, good looking Celine covering the choke for Viper, another good looking Celine. You can see the result. He knows what's going on. Of course there's still multiple other pathways into his base. Oh, and Viper Ricky makes the critical mistake of not going bomber when he goes second air. And in general, unless you know who you're playing and you have a history and you know that the other player is going second air, coming with a bomber, that's how you can screw them. You can go second air with interceptors. But if you go second air interceptors, more often than that, you're going to screw yourself. Because if the enemy is going with the bomber, sure, you're gonna make their life difficult. But if they're going with the interceptors, then you're just gonna have a fight. And if they're going land, which is exactly what happened with GMD, although he looks like he went third air, but he's just using the air factory for engineers. You've screwed yourself. So don't do that. When in doubt, and when you've gone second air, when in doubt, always go bomber, scout bomber. That's the most optimal way to go. You want to put pressure on the enemy, because when you've gone second air, that means you're not going to be raiding as much with your land units. So you need to make the most out of that air factory. Yeah, sometimes it's fear that causes people to produce that air, especially against players who are known for being very good with bombers, somebody like Tempest. Yeah, and when you've allowed fear to creep into your strategies, you know you're pretty much screwed. And you can see a bit of an air fight, and this is where his interceptors are actually paying off. But in terms of raids, you've seen there's been absolutely no raids on the side for JMD, and of course now you can see the gap in income. Although then in terms of power, Viper Ricky overmaking his power by a large margin. Has these Manti running amok on Zock's Ridge. Yeah, like, so even though Zock lost against Blackheart, incidentally, the White Horse Blackheart has mentioned he's probably going to play a little less because he needs to do his math studies. He's going to be a great economist one day, hopefully. That'd be awesome. That's kind of my dream for FAF. We have so many great people, not just great players, and eventually they should all become famous and then tell everybody about FAF. That's what you need to do. You need to get a great career, become famous, get on TV or whatever, become a president, and then propagandize FAF. And check out that move from Viper. He just killed all those Manta. However, Jesters, where is the Air Force? Where is that Air Force? We see it drop. Drop is a good idea, but you need an Air Force, because now these Jesters are they don't care. They got good air cover, and Viper Ricky needs to be careful. He needs to bring his units back. Oh, and Viper Ricky could be in trouble. You can see JMD is thinking, alright, you got no air, you got less tanks than me, at least it's similar tanks, and you have no way to counter my Jesters. I'm going to bring my ACU just so I can see your ACU explode from a little closer. 200 DPS per second from 4 Jesters. And you know, of course, when you got 10,000 health, 200 DPS per second, 1,000 for 5 seconds. You know, in 50 seconds you're gonna die. Viper Ricky already down to 5,000, but some flag scares away the Jesters. The Jesters are gonna continue. Seen excellent play from JMD. And I think he's very close from I think these Jesters are gonna put him into the final. What the heck? What are you doing, Viper? Alright, so this happens sometimes to people when they push the wrong button. That's a massive Selene force. What Viper Ricky could do is put them all on hold fire and it would look like he has nothing at all. Oh man. What we've seen was fear by making interceptors from second air, and then we saw just a misclick or whatever. And a lack of air. Oh, look at all those Jesters. They could end the game right now if they just went right here. There is a very strange construction. Walls together with flak. It's not the typical arrangement. Check out them Selines. Selene's gonna go kill you. They'll attempt to kill. That's a lot of potential veterancy. Probably a good idea. See if all these Selines can come in and kill the ACU. See, it's gonna have the gun. It's gonna be Selines versus gunned ACU. That's gonna really suck, as we see. Yeah, the gunships from GMD just don't care. They just do not care. They're gonna kill. They're just gonna end the game, I think. Yeah. As soon as he stepped away from the flak, step away from the flak and we can shoot you. Yep. Very dominant. JMD showing off that he's an excellent player. And he's in the final now versus Calrox, the K Siren. So see you in the final.